Hey guys, this is Jenn and Julien, and you're listening to X Appeal episode bonus.
It's a bonus episode, so you know it's good, and you know it's timely because we are talking about everybody's favorite reality show, the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial. Watching two people set fire to their careers in spectacular fashion each and every day. Julien, why do you think that there's so much interest in
Honestly, I mean, so you know that I don't follow these stuff very much, but I feel I'm like, is Johnny Depp's team behind all those clips I'm seeing? Because every single clip that I'm seeing about the trial is like showing how incompetent Amber Heard's lawyers are and how kind of cool Johnny Depp is. So I don't know if he it started to get me thinking, like, does he have a team of people just making sure everything public release is just putting him in a good light? I haven't seen one negative thing about him. One.
Well, I've seen negative on both sides.
Really?
But you know, we have somebody who's been covering the case since day one. She's been inside the courtroom. Danielle Dell'Olio, her podcast is Innocent Til Tipsy, and if there's ever a more appropriate tipsy case to talk about, it's this one. Mega Pint. Welcome to the program, Danielle.
Hi, how are you guys?
Doing great. So you get to see all the stuff that we don't get to see in those viral clips and on TV. So I kind of, from your perspective, I would love to know what you're seeing in there.
Well, to Julian's point, he's talking about if there's like a team that's putting this out. No, her lawyers are a shit show. Can I say a shit show on the show? Yeah, they're an absolute mess. I don't know, but I'm just glad. So I've been working on this case for over 2 years now. Really deep dove into like the court documents and everything. And it's been wild to watch his story come out because I feel like for years it's been her story, and her story has so many, she can't even get the dates right. Like there's so many inconsistencies on what she's talking about, whereas his story has always remained the same of, this is when I was abused this day. So it's kind of nice that he's finally getting a second to explain what happened to him. But of course she hasn't taken the stand yet. So we'll see what happens when she takes the stand soon.
Yeah. And that's happening next week, right?
I don't know when that's going to happen, actually. They've been keeping everything pretty under lock and key. I think because it is a public trial, they are allowing public spectators. I think they just don't want to, it to be a circus, in the morning.
Yeah, well, too late for that.
Yeah.
I want to know, though, from your perspective, so from the perspective of somebody who's been covering the case as a podcaster, what's your day look like? Like, kind of take us there.
Yeah, I mean, it's been crazy. I've been waking up at like 2:33 a.m. To get in line for the courthouse. Yeah, freezing to death in Virginia. I live in Florida, Orlando, so this has been horrible, to be honest.
Not in your blood, yeah.
Awful. And I lived in Canada most of my life, so I feel like such a wimp. I'm just wimping it out here, but it's rough. And then, we get signed up. We get into the courthouse, and we get to wait some more until 10 a.m. is when it starts. And then we all get to file in 10 at a time. They are doing it really well, like keeping the crowd under control. We're told, what we can and can't do. You're allowed to laugh a little bit, but no exclamations, no anything, no, hey, Johnny, we love you, Johnny, or anything like that. They're trying to keep everything very, we're at court. And I think that's what's funny to me. So there's some of us that have been like, looking at this case for years now, have been going through it, talking about domestic violence, especially when it comes to male victims of domestic violence. And we're there for the case. But then you hear some fans that have come and they know nothing about the case. Mm-hmm. And they're just sitting in the courtroom. And I heard a girl behind me say, this is so boring yesterday. And I'm like, it's court. Like, it's not a meeting.
Yeah, welcome to court.
Yeah, like, it's the weirdest thing. I'm like, no.
This isn't like, you're not filming Pirate 6 in here.
No, he's not.
Is this what you do? Like on a daily, like for people that are listening and don't necessarily know what your podcast is about, and like what's your background? Is this?
Yeah, so we do true crime, and we've been going through the Johnny Depp Amber Heard case on Innocent Til Tipsy. So if you want to know anything that has to do, we've been founding it in the court documents. I'm always very open. I'm very biased in this case. I like to let people know that, but we have all of our links to our sources so that what my goal is in talking about this is so that people look outside of the tabloid news fodder, because it's all very salacious, like clickbaity, right? And when you start to look outside of what the media is saying, that's when you start to kind of get to the truth. So my whole goal is, please open up the court documents, have a look for yourself, make some time. Like if it's something that's important to you and you feel like you can speak on it,
Yeah, I mean, from watching the trial itself, it kind of seems like maybe two damaged, hurt people who came together and started hurting each other. And I don't know, what would your opinion be on this? Like in their own respective relationships, if they hadn't linked up, do you think that things would have escalated in their own separate relationships to this point? I mean, it just kind of seems like you're throwing gasoline on a volatile situation, bringing the two of them together.
I think on Amber Heard's side, yeah. I mean, she'd already been arrested for domestic violence before Johnny, with her ex-partner, Taja Van Ree. And then they tried to play it off as the cop being homophobic, and the cop was actually an openly gay woman.
Nice
so
try.
That kind of backfired on them. But yeah, I definitely think Amber Heard is she's something else. I really hope she gets help. We were listening to the couple's psychotherapist along with the psychologist that evaluated her, and there's been a lot that's come out, and I just hope she kind of like is actually taking it in and will actually seem to receive some kind of help on her own level.
And she was hitting her ex-partner?
Yes, in the airport. I believe it was the Salt Lake City airport. She assaulted Taja, and the only reason they dropped the charges was because they were from a different state. You can still hear the judge talk to Amber. Like there's a recording of it that TMZ released back in like 2009 on it. Yeah.
What do we mean assault? It's so, again, like, like I think in an episode that we do, we always talk about like from a men's perspective, like what's assault? We always think like, how can a woman assault a man? A man is physically stronger. So like, is a slap considered assault?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think throwing things too. That was funny. One of Amber's lawyers said to one of Johnny's security guards, he was like, but she just threw things. You wouldn't consider that to be violent. And he goes, actually, in the state of California, that is domestic violence. If you're throwing objects or if you try to assault someone, yes, that would actually.
Yeah, it's threatening behavior.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No, so it does. I'm hoping this is shedding a light for other couples in these kinds of situations, because I do think men, they don't feel like they can talk about it because yes, we are, smaller, and it seems unmanly, I guess, to kind of discuss something like this, and it also, a lot of people don't believe men can be abused, and they definitely can. And you hear in this court case constantly, everyone that's spoken so far has said Johnny would just run away, lock himself in bathrooms, like to stay away from her. And it's like, that's abuse. When you have to flee your own house, when you have to flee your own room and someone's charging after you and screaming, that's abuse.
Yeah.
It almost seemed like he was abusing himself with alcohol and drugs. I mean, clearly, like at the beginning of his testimony, he talked about how his mother and like his abusive household that he grew up in was a huge influence over his later like substance abuse in his life.
Yeah. The only thing I find it funny, the only thing Amber's team really gets to go into is they're always like, but you work for Mr. Depp. So that's how they're trying to deconstruct people's statements on it. Or they say, but Mr. Depp does drugs. And it's like, well, yes, he owned the Viper Room in the 80s. Let's not forget that. Yeah. Like we've known Johnny Depp has been an alcoholic drug addict for a while now. But he did say the only thing he's ever been addicted to drug-wise was the opioids that he had started actually a little bit later in life. And he got clean off of, and he said he has never gone back because he knew that he would probably die from that drug use. But yeah, the alcoholism, we've all known about that, I feel like forever. Some people have been shocked. I couldn't believe that. I'm like, Johnny Depp drinking. Yes.
Right. One thing I thought was fascinating was that they kept recording each other, like secret, not so secret recordings. And I guess they had some sort of agreement that they would record each other. Why would they agree to that?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know why, and I find that interesting. It came out in court from a psychotherapist that Amber would say things to Johnny at night, and then the next morning she would say, "I didn't say that to you. I didn't say what you're saying," like gaslight him, right? So they went into the therapist and talked about this, and she said, with permission, why don't you record the conversations? And then in the morning, I think because she's been drinking, right? She can hear what she said to you, and then you can kind of work through it. So that's where the recording started, except Amber stopped telling when she would record conversations. So that it's very interesting. And that is illegal in California to, record someone without their knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
So like they would be talking and then they would pause and be like, hey, I'm gonna record this.
Yeah, you can hear him on a lot of his recordings. It'll start, and he says, "Just letting you know, like I'm recording this conversation right now." And then there's audio of her being like, "Oh yeah, effing record it, like whatever, Johnny." Like yeah, so wild.
Yeah, but I'm wondering how. I know it's legally admissible in court because California is a 2-party consent state.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like if you're being recorded, if you know you're being recorded, you're on your best behavior.
Yeah.
At that point.
That's what he said had it started. Like that's what their starting point. She would like calm down, and I guess that's almost kind of good because then he wouldn't have the barrage like coming at him, Yeah. Then as it went on, she didn't care anymore, and you can hear she did. There's an new 1-hour audio that's been released, and it's something else. I mean, she's calling him a has-been, a fat old man. Like she's just going in on him. And I'm like, whoa, this is a mess.
Well, to be fair, he actually said some nasty shit about her too.
Definitely.
Over email, text message, calling her a see you next Tuesday and worse. I mean, saying he wanted her corpse rotting in the back of a Honda Civic, which
no one's talked about that, like the premise of that either, which is interesting to me because he had sent that to his friend Isaac Baruch. And his friend Isaac Baruch had been living in the penthouses. He'd been putting up a lot of people in those penthouses for free. Yeah. And he was telling Isaac he had to sell the penthouses because of what Amber had done. Like she's ruined our lives and everything. And then that was when he said, and that was in like October, he said it after she had filed for the TRO, temporary restraining order, divorce, all of that stuff. And that's when he was like, she's ruining our lives. And then said that about the Honda Civic and like whatever. And he did apologize to the court and said, I said that in anger and I shouldn't have, but like, yeah, crazy.
I think he's just a colorful guy. Definitely. I think he just uses colorful language.
There was one text message they read aloud in court and he said, it's like a monkey effing a football. And I was like, Where did that come from in your noggin? Like your brain? Or how did you think of those texts?
Yeah, I mean, I know people who are from Australia who use the CUNT, as like a preposition. Like, oh yeah, it's just so common to them.
Jim Jeffries is the master of this. I love it.
Yeah, Isaac said he was like, they asked if he'd ever heard Johnny call Amber a CUNT, and he was like, well, he calls me that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so like, yes. So yeah. I mean, Johnny.
Yeah, it's so funny too. Like the amount of insults that my boys and I throw at each other. It's like.
Yeah. Now imagine if somebody had taken a screenshot of those text messages and put them up for display as Exhibit A in court. Right.
Yeah, you're not real friends unless you insult each other. That's like for guys, it's how it is. But then it's true that sometimes, if it's said to a girl, it's very different.
Yeah. So I think like now in court, they're kind of going through whether this is like mutual abuse or whether it was reactive abuse. I know both of those are controversial terms in the domestic violence, like partnership area. I don't know if you guys have talked about those.
No, we haven't talked about that topic, but I do think that's super significant when you're talking about volatile relationships like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know a lot of people, they get very on the defensive with mutual abuse because it's more, a lot of people say it's more reactive abuse. You can only take it so long and then you're screaming back. So
we're hitting back.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is, it kind of comes back to what you were saying earlier, Jen, about like, he has to flee his own home. He has to maybe go lock himself in the bathroom. I feel like for men, because we know our behaviors when it comes to reacting can be some like, if you push a man too far, then he can get violent and then he could be in trouble for like whatever. Like if Amber is throwing stuff at him and hitting him and he does not want to reciprocate, then the best way is just to go and isolate yourself so you can calm down, because otherwise you can react and then become abusive because of the reaction you're having from that.
He had said that in audios too. He's like, Amber, like when we start fighting, I've got to split. Like I've got to leave, or like I can't stay in the room. I can't just keep taking your punches. Like I've got to go.
Because he tried to restrain her one time, and she claimed that he had butted her.
Yeah, when he was just trying to like stop her from attacking him. She said she was going like this at the back of his head. I'm like, geez, please.
I mean, so you see in court, like, and I mean, I've seen several clips on TikTok have gone viral. Like the one that recently came out where Amber Heard's attorney objects to his own question. Did you see this?
Yes. It's the most awkward thing in the world. You asked the question. You
asked the question. And even the witness was like, what just happened? Are you objecting to yourself? Is this reality? So
bad.
Those things have got to, and you get to see kind of like the the eye rolling, the looks, the glances, the behavior in court. What about the jurors? How have they been reacting to some of the fumbles by Amber's attorneys?
So I'm not sure I can talk about that. And there's been people kicked out of court, so I can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm like, yeah, it's very.
You mean like in the gallery, kicked out of court?
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But our fans are allowed inside the gallery, yeah?
Yeah, it's a public hearing. So yeah, you can go as a public spectator, which is why.
And is that based on lottery?
It's based on who gets there first. Yeah.
I do know people who've been lining up at 1 o'clock in the morning. Is that the same thing for you though, as a podcaster?
I've been lining up a little bit later, but there is one woman. She's Johnny Depp's #1 fan. She's so funny. She follows him everywhere. I love her. Her name's Yvonne. I love her to pieces. She's there every day at like 1 a.m. She's Johnny's age. She's wild. She's absolutely wild. And he knows who she is. He wears one of her rings that she gave him years ago. Like it's cute.
What?
It's really cute. Yeah. Oh,
I need to talk to this lady.
I keep telling her.
She tells him if he goes and shoot out at like in another country, she goes.
Oh yeah, I keep telling her I want to make her a fan club like for herself because like I'm obsessed with this woman. I think she's so funny.
She pays for her life to travel around and follow Johnny Depp.
Right? She's a travel agent, so I guess she probably gets some deals that way and everything, right? But I'm like, geez, yeah.
Something else that came up is like the way that Amber and Johnny have been mimicking each other with what they wear to court.
Yeah. So
is that true? Like, have you really been seeing that?
It's Amber. Yeah, it's been wild. So he'll come to court one day dressed in a gray suit. The next day she's come to court and she's in a gray suit. Or the ponytail thing, that was crazy. So she was dressed very similar to him the next day. And she had her hair up in a ponytail when he had just put his hair up the day before. And we were literally in the courtroom, like before she entered, we were like, what's she going to be wearing today? Like, will she have that ponytail on her head? And sure enough, and that's, my followers have pointed out to me because I made a video about it on TikTok, and they said that's actually a sign of abuse. A lot of times the abuser will mimic what the victim is doing with their looks and everything else. And that's how it'll gaslight you. Like, you'll be like, is that really like what's going on right now?
Is that as a way to criticize them?
I don't know. It's like, it's called, mirroring is what it's called. Like, that's a technical term for it.
Yeah, but in these moments that you see in court, it does seem like Johnny's been turning on the charm, right? He's been cracking some jokes. He's been like almost making fun of Amber's attorneys.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is helping?
I don't know. I don't know how the jury's going to take it. I really don't. I don't know if it's endearing or if it's like a turnoff, that whole situation. I really don't know who's going to come out on this. Well, I don't think anyone's going to come out a winner. But I don't know who in the end is going to win this case. The defamation case is extremely hard to win.
I feel like it's gonna, even if it doesn't help him win, it's gonna help him career wise.
Restore his reputation.
Yeah, he's still like throughout all of this and everything's going through. Yeah, everybody is still thinking, oh, he's kind of a cool dude. He's a funny guy. So it's just like, people are just people will forget about it, and he'll be most likely to keep working as an actor in a year or two or whatever, still be in the mix for everything. Like, it's gotten to a point where this cafe where I go to in the morning, they have 2 tip jars, and one says Johnny Depp, one says Amber Heard. The one of Johnny Depp is full. Amber Heard has like $3 in it.
Wow.
So, like, people are, I guess, sympathizing with him, and then you see all these like TikTok clips and him also making the courthouse laugh by just some of his reaction, because you hear some of the questions, and even when you're watching the video, you're like, what the fuck is this question? So the fact that he's kind of standing up to it and be like, yes, for the 5th time.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like very calmly.
Yeah.
Did I read that right? Yes, you did a very good job.
They must be hearsay papers. That was my favorite.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm learning. But even as we're talking about it, we're laughing, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That just goes to show you. I mean, if listen, like the money that they're suing each other for is probably, well, for him at least, a drop in the bucket. I would have to imagine. He's worth an absolute fortune. I think for him, it's more about restoring his reputation and restoring maybe his position in Hollywood.
That's what he said. So he had released kind of almost a statement on why he was going back to court. And he said it was to restore his name, his reputation, and to also also for the people who have felt re-victimized by Amber Heard's lies as her purporting herself. Because, I mean, she's a spokesperson for the ACLU for gendered violence. She has been purporting herself as an activist all these years, going to all these speeches. Meanwhile, she assaulted her ex-girlfriend. She obviously assaulted Johnny Depp. There's video, like audio recordings of her talking about how she wasn't punching him, she was hitting him, you know? Yeah. And so it's like, that's, for me as a domestic abuse survivor, like that is why I got so involved in this case, is I was like, you don't speak for me. And the fact that you're tarnishing real victims' voices by getting up and lying about something so serious, it's so hard to be believed as someone that has been in a domestic violence situation. And she's making it harder for real women who have stepped forward in the Me Too movement. Even she's damaged that. So it's very upsetting for real victims. And a lot of us on the Johnny Depp supporting team aren't. I was a fan like growing up, but a lot of people I've met weren't fans. They're domestic violence survivors who are angry, like mad over this whole situation.
Do you see Johnny Depp in a different light? Being a fan of his work and everything, do you see him in a different light now that you've been witness to this court circus? You realize, as I had realized as I was going through the court documents, just how none of us are really different. We live different lives, you know, but you look at like their personal life and you're like, this is a human. But seeing them in court, and his team ended on a really impactful statement. They played an audio clip of Amber saying, "Tell the world, Johnny, tell them I, Johnny Depp, a man, am a victim of domestic violence, and see what the jury and judge think. See how many people believe you." And then they cut it off, and his attorney said, "What did you respond to Ms. Hurd after she had said that?" And he said, I said, "Yes, I am." And she said, "No further questions, Your Honor." And I had tears in my eyes. I was like, for a man to come forward and say, "Yes, I am, you know, a victim of domestic violence," like that was super powerful how they ended that. Yeah. We know that it's underreported.
100%
on the male side.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very like shameful. And that's unfortunate. It's very unfortunate that men feel like, have been made to feel like that because of our society. And it's honestly a part of like that misogynistic, you know, like men are supposed to be the strong, powerful. Yeah. And that's not supposed to happen when it does.
Yeah. It's
so from your perspective, like right now, and I know that we still have to hear from Amber Heard. Yeah. I'm really wondering like how things are going to go. What, by the way, you know, what do you anticipate once she actually takes the stand?
I can't wait. That woman.
Me too.
There's video deposition of her from 2016 where you can see, so you know she pooped in his bed, right? We're all aware.
Yes, we'll try to blame the Yorkshire Terriers on it, but
yes. So in 2016, she's doing video deposition. They're asking her how big these Yorkshire Terriers are, and she's going like it just because she knows the poop is big. So she's trying to get the dog to like match the poop, right? And she goes, "Boo's about as long as she is wide," and she's like making her face all scrunched up, like she's not sure, even though she picks these teacup Yorkies up every day. Like I can tell you how to feed my cat. Yes, teacup Yorkies, not even just like normal Yorkies.
Aren't breaking like 3 pounds, by the way.
Yeah, no, and like they're as big as the poop that was left on the bed. Get over it. Like just admit that you pooped the bed on your 30th birthday and then went to Coachella and you thought it was funny. Just do it. Oh my God, so ridiculous.
It's so beyond like anything that you can't. I mean, that's a common expression. You can't make it up. It's true. You can't. I mean, and then she also so another witness that was fun to watch this week was the doorman.
Oh my God, he's
doorman in his car, vaping, probably on his lunch break. You know, doing a deposition.
Drives off, vroom vroom. He's out of there. He's like, I don't want anything to do with this case at all anymore. At all.
Wasn't he the guy who said that she felt like she was in danger and that she was being attacked when there's scratch marks at the door? It was like 4 inches above the ground.
He's like, no, it's just your dog. Like no one's trying to break into your house.
It's your Yorkies, yeah. Yeah.
So ridiculous. Yeah.
I know. And this, what do you think about Johnny and Amber's agent that they have in common said that he lost like 6 major franchise roles as a result of this defamation case. I actually think that might be the most compelling testimony that we've heard in his favor. Because if this is a defamation trial, he just said it cost him jobs, like multi-million-dollar jobs.
Yeah, and Christian too. I mean, he started out as friends with Amber. I do find it fascinating how many friends of Amber have like done the swap-a-roo and been like, no, that's not how that happened, and started to explain things a little bit more. But yeah, Christian's testimony was wild the other day with explaining just how much he has lost out of this whole situation.
Do we know why Elon Musk is not coming to the stand? I know he asked, and can you refuse? I thought a judge can subpoena you.
I don't know. So I haven't, because my days have been so hectic. I haven't caught up on that. I did see that he's not going to appear, but I'm not sure. And James Franco's not either. And James, the reason they were subpoenaing James was James had seen her the week that she alleged that Johnny gave her that bruise on her face that she walked to court with and everything. So they were going to try to see if he had seen anything on her face when he was going up to Johnny Depp's penthouses with Amber Heard late at night. But yeah. And after she'd called him, I don't know, is your show explicit? Can I?
Yeah. Oh yeah. We
She called him rapey. So, to Johnny, she said, oh, James. And obviously he kind of is, if you look at the text messages he sent to underage girls and everything, then he's,
and the DMs, right?
Yeah. So yeah, it's just wild. But yeah, neither of them are going to come to the stand, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, I am fascinated. He's been doodling, by the way. Have you seen what he's been doodling?
I haven't
Johnny Depp.
No, but he has been doodling. He gets sometimes he comes into court and just puts his thing down and starts going.
He draws faces. I'm wondering whose face
he's drawing.
Yeah. No. Interesting. Well, so I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your availability is, but I would love to have you back on to talk about the case once Amber takes the stand.
Oh my God, I would love that. We'll have to
get an insight.
I mean, honestly, you've been great. You've been super insightful. I love the fact that you're in the courtroom every day. Next time I see the live feed in my office, I'm going to be looking for that purple hair.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. Danielle, thank you so much.
No, thank you both so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, have fun in Vegas.
Thank you. Will do.
A Hurrdat Media Production.